Alright, so guys, let's begin. So we are on day 4 of our syllabus class. Of course, the syllabus class is day 3 and the first day was introduction class. So now we are going to continue further, and what we will do is we'll try to understand some more important tools that we have to learn. And without learning that, a solid, strong resume we cannot prepare. All these points has to be highlighted in your resumes when we apply for placements. So we are going to now look at what is Maven, what is Kubernetes, and we will look at some more tools like Redis Cache. I'm going to start with Kubernetes firstly. So in order to understand Kubernetes, firstly, you should know what you mean by load balancer, load balancer. Second, we should know a concept of disaster recovery. What do you mean by disaster recovery, right? And we should also understand about scalability of server. Okay, so how do we scale a server? Now what do you mean by that? Okay, firstly, what is load balancer? Now let's assume, guys, I want to now deploy my flight reservation application or a bus ticket booking application I want to deploy. So now here I have a server. I have a server here. And in this server now, we are now deploying a bus application. As of now, there is only one server. But now, when the load is applied, the load is on single server. Let's say today there are 100 users accessing, this is enough. But what if now the number of users, they increase? One minute, huh? Got some important. One minute, huh? I've got some important call. I'll just take that up. All right. So now, if the number of users are 100, one server is enough. But every server, it has a limitation to withstand the load. Could be this server 100 numbers it is withstanding, 1000 users it is withstanding. Moment I make it 100, what will happen? Moment I make it 100, what will happen? Tell me. Moment I make it 100, what will happen? It will withstand. 1000 withstand. 1 lakh, server might crash. Server might crash. So now I have a requirement of deploying same project on multiple servers. What is the requirement? One server can maximum withstand 1 lakh load. Let's assume maximum 1 lakh load it can withstand. It cannot go beyond that. If it is 1 lakh plus users, server performance will slow down. Application response time will be bad. You will type www.gmail.com, after 5 minutes page will load. We don't have so much of patience to wait for a particular page to load for 5 minutes. What I will do now, I will here create more servers, right? I will create here more servers. I'll create here more servers, and in the same servers, in this servers, I will now deploy the same application. The bus application deployed on server 2, bus application deployed on server 3, the bus application deployed on server, which means same application I am deploying now on multiple servers. But now, how do I balance the load on it now? I've got 4 servers, but how will you shift the load on this now? So what I will do now, after deploying same application on multiple servers, I will here create a concept of load balancer. I will create here a concept of load balancer. The name it says balance the load on the multiple servers so that same application is accessible and you don't put the whole load on a single server. How do we do that? So when the first request comes in, second request comes in, third request, fourth request, when the request comes in, the first request I will send it to first server. Okay, the second request will automatically go to second server. The third request will automatically go to third server. Fourth request will go to, and now the fifth request again to the first server. This is called as round robin fashion of applying the load on the server. This is all possible when you have a concept of load balancer. And today, when the applications are being developed, 1 minute, I've got some very important, sorry for the disturbance, just hold on, give me 5 minutes of time. Okay, give me 5 minutes of time. I will just connect quickly. I have a call to make. Okay. All right, guys, let's continue. So now I was talking about the concept of load balancer, right? Now, why a load balancer? Because in reality, you know what happens? We never run the application in one single server. Actually, what happens is the same application we run on multiple servers. Now, the reason behind it is when the load on application is more, multiple servers are there to take care of it. Correct? But now here we have one challenge. You know what is the challenge? Imagine today the load is only 100 users. Only 100 users. I have a load of only 100 users. So now my question is, when the load is of only 100 users, do I require 4 servers? Because every server setup, when I do it in a cloud platform like AWS, let's say I want to set up 4 servers. For every server, I'm paying rental. They're taking rental from me. It's not free. If I want to today now set up 4 servers, they will charge some money. I need to pay them money. Now load is only 100 today. Do I require 4 servers? And if you don't require 4 servers, why are you paying rental for it unnecessarily? Correct? So today you are feeling one server is enough. But now suddenly the load increased to 1 lakh. Now you feel I require 3 servers. Load increased to now 10 lakhs. Now you will tell that because the load has increased now to 10 lakh, I require further more servers. Now the load decreased to 100. Now you are telling I don't want 4, I want only 1 server. Suddenly load increased to 1 lakh. Now you are telling I require 3 servers, 10 lakhs, 4 servers, reduced to 10,000, 1 server. You notice here what's happening? If I keep the number of servers fixed, I have a problem here that the fixed billing, the fixed amount of rent I have to pay. Now I need to find out, is there any way wherein number of servers will increase and decrease automatically depending on load? Is there a way I can tackle this in this manner? If the load is 1,000 one server, 50,000 two server, 1 lakh 3 server, 10 lakh 4 servers, again when the load reduces to 5,000 one server, can I increase and decrease the number of servers to run my application dynamically? Question number 1. We understood what is load balancing. Load balancer is a concept where we guys are telling, let's not put the load on single server, let's have multiple servers and split the load between them. Correct? But now the question that arises here is, what if the number of servers are kept fixed? I'm unnecessarily paying the rental. Correct? Problem number 1. So how do I now save the money in my project? By not paying unnecessary money. How do I dynamically increase and decrease the number of servers based on the load? I know what is load balancer, but also at the same time I require the scalability of the server to be dynamic. Scalability means number of servers increasing and decreasing should be dynamic. Should be what? Dynamic. How do I do that? The next thing comes disaster recovery. What if now 2 servers are not working? 2 server crashed. Some hardware problem happened. 2 servers have crashed. Since a couple of servers have crashed now, do you have a disaster recovery plan? Do you have any other alternative way, okay, to now when one server crashes, do you have a replacement for it? Suddenly one server crashed, you should be ready to now automatically replace that with a new server. Can all these be taken care of? Think about it. Today, when you're accessing application like Amazon, usual days the load is less. When they run some big billion days or something like that, some advertisements they give it 50% off, 60% off, things like that, suddenly the load increases. Right? Suddenly the load increases, and after that the load will decrease, and suddenly it will increase, suddenly decrease. I cannot have this fixed solution. Because for me, whether I'm doing more business or less business, billing is same for me. I have to now pay the same amount because I've taken the servers on what rental basis. So guys, to take care of these things, that is where Kubernetes comes in picture. K8s. Kubernetes is called as K8s because between K and S there are 8 letters, which is named as Kubernetes. You know what is Kubernetes going to do? If I now do a server setup using Kubernetes, suppose I use this, and using this if I now try to do a server setup, then firstly Kubernetes takes care of load balancing. What it will take care of? It is automatically taken care by Kubernetes, which was initially developed by Google. Okay, initially developed by what? Google. Now they promise that I will take care of load balancing. Second, they tell I will give you dynamic addition and deletion of server. So dynamic scaling of server, I will give you that. And also I'll give you a concept called as disaster recovery. This all I can do it for you, right? Which means if you're using Kubernetes and setting up the servers, what I'll promise you is, let's say today the load is 5,000 users, I'll give you one server. If the load increases to 1 lakh, I'll automatically add 3 servers. If it increases to 10 lakh, I'll automatically increase to 4 servers. Now the load reduced, then I will reduce the number of server. Load increased, I'll increase the server. The load decreased, I'll decrease the server. Adding and deletion of server is now becoming dynamic depending on the load. See how beautifully they have designed this tool, right? We never ask these questions, no? When we are learning certain things, all we ask is, will you teach us full stack? We never tend to ask these things. That can you please tell us that how exactly the things happens in company? Our straightforward answer is, will you teach us full stack course? Yes. Job guarantee, 100% guarantee. Done. We are happy. Yes or no? Learn, understand the syllabus properly firstly. So now when we people are talking about, okay, now when we are talking about basically the dynamic scaling, we understood that. Not only that, K8s gives us one more special feature, disaster recovery. Meaning suddenly the server crashed, then our Kubernetes is capable to replace that server with a new one. Suddenly this crashed, again it will create a new server automatically. Suddenly it crashed, again a new server created automatically, which means look at what kind of disaster recovery concept your Kubernetes has got, by the way, isn't it? So whenever you deploy your application to a server, we will have to use Kubernetes. I hope this part is clear now. Everyone clear with this part? Any doubts, questions? Do you have it here? Please tell me. Any doubts, questions? Do you have it here? Did you understand the tool Kubernetes? Yes. So we have understood so far Git and GitHub, JMeter, Docker, Jira, JUnit, Mockito, Jacoco. Why we should learn Kubernetes, I've talked about it. Now we'll learn Maven. We'll understand Maven, guys, now. See, this is very important. You need to understand, whenever you deploy your project to a server, see now, let's say I'm writing a Java code. Now, I cannot take the Java code directly and deploy to server. What we do is, this Java code is firstly converted to byte code, zeros and ones. We convert that to what? Byte code, zeros and ones. Okay. So what we deploy to server is a byte code. We convert that to zeros and ones. And that zeros and ones byte code that you've created, we compress and keep it inside a file called as jar file. Inside a file called as what? Jar file. Then this jar file is being picked up and put into Docker. Put into what? Docker. Why are we putting this into Docker? Because Docker will remove compatibility issue. Correct? Docker will remove compatibility. Now using Docker, we will further go to Kubernetes, which we will further explain to you what is CI/CD pipeline. But for now, my question is, to generate a Docker image, a Docker file, to generate a Docker file, first you should have, and this jar file is a collection of what? So this jar file that you're getting, it is out of all the Java code that you have written. Example, I have some simple code written here in some batch. Now I will right click and I will go to properties, and then after I'll go to the location where my project is. I'm going to the location where my project is. I'm opening my project. Now observe when I go to my project location, that's here. As of now in my project here, there is nothing present inside a target folder. It is fully empty. And here there are so many Java code I've written down. I've written a Java code to send SMS, Java code written down to send email, Java code is written down to send WhatsApp messages. But I cannot take this Java code and use for deployment. I cannot use a Java code for deployment. I have to convert this to jar file. How do I do it? So I will now open my project and I will use Maven. I will just type mvn, okay, compile, compile and package. That's it. Now what this Maven is doing, it's taking my project code and preparing one jar file for deployment. Until and unless you don't generate a jar file, until and unless you don't generate a jar file, your deployment of the project cannot happen. Are you understanding now? So if you now go back here, observe, after some time you will get a message here. You will get a message here that generated a jar file. Generated a jar file. See, inside which folder? A dot jar file is generated inside which folder? Target folder. So if you go here, now if I refresh my project, right click and refresh the project, can you please observe what is present inside the target folder now? This one file, this one single file has my complete project logic. Now I'll take this jar file and convert that to a Docker file, because Docker file will give me that platform and remove the compatibility issue to run the jar file. Are you understanding now? If I don't use Docker, that compatibility issues will arise, might arise, will arise. We don't know. Right? Are you understanding now? And we don't want this compatibility issues to happen. Then we have to introduce Docker. Now, Maven itself is a big concept. I've just given you a small introduction. Are you understanding now? To learn Maven, minimum 4 classes are designed, 4 hours of lectures. I'll be giving it in depth manner to learn Maven. Okay? Did you understand now why Maven we have to learn? Yes, online students, are you all able to understand? Please tell me. Are you all clear with it now? Yes. Any doubts, questions, queries do you have it so far? Right. Now that we have understood why Maven is required, now we will see what is CI/CD pipeline. We will now look at what? What do you mean by CI/CD pipeline? CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery of the project, or continuous deployment. Continuously deploying the project to a server. See, deployment process is never done manually in the companies. We automate the deployment process. Please understand that. Okay? You will never do the deployment process manually. See, today my classes are slightly disturbed. Just have patience. I'll keep taking break in between one minute. You don't waste your time, keep talking. 5 minutes, I'll have to take this call. Okay? राइट गाइस, वेट, लाइफ में इतना ही टाइम वेस्ट कर दिया, 5 5 साल जॉब नहीं था, 5 मिनट में वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, कोऑपरेटिव हो जाओ थोड़ा। राइट, हाँ थोड़ा पेशेंस रखो, कभी कभार ही मैं बिजी होता हूँ, तो आज का डे थोड़ा मेरे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है। राइट, तो थोड़ा सा कोऑपरेटिव रहो, अभी 5 5 साल जॉब नहीं लगी तब आपका टाइम डिले नहीं हो रहा था। Right, be cooperative a bit. Usually this does not happen in my class, but yes, today there's no other option. Some important calls are there. If it is some other calls, would have ignored it. Usually pick that up after the class. All right. Anyways, if I now basically I'm supposed to again connect on the call, we'll do that. But now let's continue. Now we understood Maven, we understood Kubernetes. Now, what happens in a project is, guys, the deployment activities are never done manually. We automate that. And that automation of deploying your project is called as CI/CD pipeline. We listen to this terminology in most of the requirements. You check any requirement on Naukri portal, you will definitely see that CI/CD pipeline Jenkins written down. Correct? Now, what does this actually mean? See this here. I'll explain the procedure now in a high level manner, then we'll learn this in depth manner during our regular classes. So here we have Git and GitHub. We have Git and GitHub. And here is where there are a bunch of developers who are busy writing the code and they are saving it in GitHub. So what are developers doing? They are saving the Java code inside the GitHub, not the byte code. Whatever Java code they are writing, that Java code is saved in GitHub. Now that code is here. That code is here. This is our Java code. This is our Java code. Okay. Now, from here, what should happen now? From here, moment I put my code to GitHub, I want that code to be automatically picked up, given to Maven, and Maven should generate a jar file automatically. Okay, moment I push my code to GitHub, what if now I tell automatically that code should be picked up, given to Maven, so Maven can prepare one jar file. Correct? So we will use here a concept called as Jenkins. We'll use here a concept called as what? Jenkins. Jenkins is an automation server. So what it will do now? It will pick the code. Jenkins will pick the code, and after picking that code, Jenkins will now further give that particular code to Maven. Automatically that code is being given to what? Maven. Now what is Maven doing here? Maven is now going to prepare here a .jar file. What is Maven going to prepare here? A .jar file. Who is preparing this jar file? Who is preparing this jar file? This jar file is being prepared by Maven. But who picked up the code from GitHub? When is it picking up? Moment you add a code to Git and GitHub, automatically Jenkins picks that code from Git and GitHub and gives it to Maven. And Maven produces a jar file. After producing jar file, what Jenkins will do? It will take that jar file. It will take that jar file. Jenkins will take this jar file, and further it will now use Docker. It will use what? Docker. And this Docker will produce another file which is called as what? Docker image. It will produce something called as what? Now this Docker image has all that code and configurations required to run my project. It is not just the project. It does not just have the jar file. To run this jar file, version of Java required, additional software required, everything is bundled inside a Docker image, which removes compatibility issue. Now then this Docker image is being picked up by Jenkins. Jenkins is further going to pick up what? This Docker image. It will pick up this Docker image, and this Docker image, after it picks that up, it will now call K8s. K8s. What is K8s? Kubernetes. Who is doing all of these things? Jenkins. And K8s will now finally take your Docker file and do the deployment to the server. And this deployment that we do it to the server now will be taken care of load balancing, disaster recovery, scalability, everything. Now, once this process is set, now you know what will happen. Every time developer writes the code and pushes to Git, automatically these things will happen and a new code is deployed to the server. No manual deployment of the code needs to be done. This whole process is called as what? CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration, continuous delivery of the code. Correct? That is what is happening. Now look at how developers and DevOps are working together. Right? Developers should know how to work with Git. DevOps engineers should know how to work with Git. Developer's job is to generate jar file. Correct? DevOps job is to take the jar file, do deployment. Developer's job is to write Docker. Right? Write the Docker, configurations. Okay, and Docker will generate Docker image, so they're working together. That's why today when you apply for placements, it is not just backend coding, it is backend plus DevOps. When you add in your profile, only then the interview calls are going to be good. Otherwise the interview calls are not going to be that great. Are you understanding now? If you want good interview calls, strong content in the profile has to be there. Okay, let's see this here. Now that some explanation I have given so far, let's do one thing. I'll just pick some requirement randomly. Okay, let's go online here and let's pick some requirement online. So I'll just ask here for Spring Boot. Okay, jobs. And now when I search, let's see how much of the requirement I'm able to understand actually. So here, do you understand the word Kafka? RESTful, API, microservices? Yes, we started understanding things now. Yeah, we have a proper requirement here. Do you understand now? Yes, Kafka for real-time data processing. That's what I said. Exchanging data in real time. Yes or no? APIs and microservices? Yes. Java, Spring Boot? Yes. So this is again something that you learn under DevOps, right? Then AWS yet to discuss. See, what do you see here? Correct? CI/CD pipeline. Then what? Microservice, Spring Boot. Yes or no? Now this is not like projects are separate for freshers and experienced people. Projects are same for both. Projects are same for both. Keep that in mind. What do you see here? Right? Now see this here. Yes? Did you get it? Answer number one, why our profile does not get shortlisted. Did you understand now? You're preparing a resume where you mention only I know data structure. You tell me where is data structure mentioned here? One is theory, one is practical. So now you ask this question, but sir, when I see most of the requirements online, I see these technologies. Why is that your academy not providing this? See, now see this here. What is given here? Spring Boot. Correct? I hope this part is clear for all of you now. Any doubts, questions? Do you have it? No? Now let's see one more requirement. One more requirement. Yeah? This is also there in our syllabus. If you observe, I mentioned certain things. If you observe, look at here. Yes? Yes or no? Did you understand what is now trending in the market? Did you understand what's trending in the market now? And what we have to study? See, Java 8 features. Then one would hold on. I'm getting today my day. Right. Can you please read this here? So observe. See, this all is there. Just now I talked about collections concept. Correct? So these all things like this, we have to understand the stuff. Is this clear, guys? I'll wind up my today's class little early because I don't wish to take the class with so much of disturbances for today. Okay, tomorrow we will finish off rest of the syllabus discussion. Okay, so now I at least assume some confidence you have got that what we have to learn, because the learning itself, when it goes wrong, the content itself, you have not studied what is required. You tell me, why will a company pick your resume? Answer this firstly. You think just because I joined one academy, company will hire me, right? If that was the case, then everybody will simply join an academy, get one course completion certificate and grab a job. Is that so simple? Or is it really, required to learn things in a proper and depth manner? Yes or no? Right? So that we are so confident enough. Tomorrow, when I know how to do a project, is it difficult to get a job? I don't even have technical skills and you're expecting jobs. You tell me. Right or wrong? So, skills acquiring, is it easy? Definitely no. It is not easy. It requires dedication, time, efforts to practice, consistency, right? People are still looking for shortcuts. Somebody will help me to get job. Some magic will happen. It doesn't work that way. Be practical. Today, if you know the skills, you will get job. That's it. Okay. Companies have requirements. Companies have demand. Okay. Now, people, see, whatever fees related queries are there, you can contact on this number. Okay, who's basically asking me this question? There's a mobile number given, and offline people, the reception desk, no cash payments to be done, zero cash payments. Are you understanding now? Only payments in the accounts. Is this clear? No cash payments will be accepted, whether online or offline. Strictly it has to happen only through accounts. Okay, right? So keep this one rule in mind, that whenever you do the payment, it has to be only an account transfer. That's it, guys. I will wind up my today's class here. Demo class is not over, don't worry. People who are asking me, as some of the students already in your batch, they have joined, that is your voluntarily decision. I will not call anyone and ask to join. That's against my policy. Okay, whoever wants to join will voluntarily join. We will not call you and ask that take admission in my institute. Okay, so we are very clear on our way of execution. Okay, so if you like it, you can join. You don't like it, you don't join. Simple policy. No follow-up calls, no messages. Join, I'll give you some discount. Join, there is one HCL drive going on, I'll make you sit. No marketing things. Okay, only serious audience will remain here. Okay, bye guys, take care. See you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll wrap up the syllabus.